Good morning. Hi, YouTube family. Hi, sis. Welcome back. Are you there?
Let me just take a deep breath.
Here we go.
Smell of morning air.
Yes, it's quite lovely. We had a beautiful rain come through all of northern New Mexico and leave everything fresh and springy and clean. Yeah. Gratitude.
No accident, right?
No, there's a big cleansing going on. Yes.
There is, yeah. Thanks, family, for joining us. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. We're on lesson 178. We're still in the reviews. The main idea is God is but love, and therefore so am I.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, I've got to get on my toes for this. Yes, sis, go ahead.
God is but love, and therefore so am I. Is that partial or consistent or temporary or what?
Right? Can it change? No, that's an absolute statement. Also, that lesson that we covered, I am as God created me. So how God created us, God is but love, therefore so am I. That's his will is done. It's already perfect. And God is, and we are. And that's changeless. It cannot change.
So those moments where I don't recall the truth.
I don't know what you're talking about, sis. Honestly. If love is what you are, then just be love. I don't, is there a problem? Is the truth not true?
Right. Okay. So this is good. This is good. It's all helpful, right? Especially when we've taken a nosedive and colluded with the ego and gone down its dark rabbit hole. So the only thing that's blocking me from the love that I am, that's changeless and is uninterrupted, is my choice to be aware of it.
A decision that the untrue is also true.
Thank you. So the truth is true, as Jesus says in the Course.
That's right.
And nothing else is true.
That's right.
Okay.
So we are love and nothing but love. And anytime that where love seems to be absent, that is the dream. There is no truth in it. It doesn't matter how big or small or staggering or mild or disturbing or boring something might be. If it's not love, it's part of the illusion. And you have the right to take a firm stance. These stories are going to come to us full of imagery and emotion, and it'll set the mind reeling into various directions. You'll feel physiological response in answer to the fear that you're thinking. I mean, it comes on like this wave, but it's right then and there. It's not later as you've been feeding that story and giving it momentum, but right then and there, we have the right to stop and say, no, God is but love, and therefore so am I. So the story is false, the emotions are false, the images I'm seeing are false. I do have a decision that I can make, and I make that now. That's standing for the truth. That's bearing witness to God. Only the truth is true, and I'm not here to vote or decide for mixture. I don't want the split mind. I know where that takes me, and I don't want that. That's not me.
And that's what Jesus is asking us in the Course to do. That's what these lessons are for, or an important reason for doing these lessons is so that we will join him in claiming dominion over the illusion of ego in our mind, right?
Yeah, he's encouraging us to be unequivocal,
Mhm.
instant in our response, unhesitatingly, not flinching, no matter what the story is. And the ego will try all sorts of things, a smorgasbord of a variety, and it knows the ones that we've always fallen for, and it'll go there because it's always been given a hit with our reaction. We give it life when we respond to it. But let's not just to see, it's an impersonal thought system designed to defend ourselves against awakening. And so it takes, a digging in of the heels and standing just for God. And when the ego ceases to get response from you, it'll cease, stabbing or pushing that button. It's like it will release when you stop giving it a response.
Thank you. Thank
Mhm.
you, sis. I know that was kind of long-winded. God is but love, and therefore so am I, and nothing but love.
Yeah.
And the next bit is let not my mind, let not underlined, let not my mind deny the thought of God. Yeah,
Yes.
this is just what we've been talking about. Thanks for joining me in that, sis.
Sure. Yeah, we can't be reminded enough of what's available to us and what it requires, to experience it. But it is available to us every now moment. We're always making a choice. We're not ever just a neutral observer. We're always making a decision with the ego or with Holy Spirit. So in lesson 165, I just wanted to read a couple paragraphs out of this because it's so beautiful. And let's just join in this, because when we say, let not my mind deny the thought of God, well, it begs the question, well, what is the thought of God?
Mhm.
And so instead of reading, just will you join with me and just listen as I read these two paragraphs, and let's really take this in. It says, the thought of God created you. It left you not, nor have you ever been apart from it an instant. It is yours eternally. By it you live. It is your source of life, holding you one with it, and everything is one with you because it left you not. The thought of God protects you, cares for you, makes soft your resting place and smooth your way, lighting your mind with happiness and love. Eternity and everlasting life shine in your mind because the thought of God has left you not and still abides with you. Who would deny his safety and his peace, his joy, his healing and his peace of mind, his quiet rest, his calm awakening? If he but recognized where they abide, would he not instantly prepare to go where they are found, abandoning all else as worthless in comparison with them? And having found them, would he not make sure they stay with him and he remains with them? Yeah.
Beautiful. Really beautiful. Yeah. So this is just to add to that, sis, to support what you've said there too. He does say further in lesson 165, which we're reviewing, deny not heaven.
Yeah.
It is yours today, but for the asking.
Right.
Okay. Ask to receive, and it is given you. Ask with desire. You need not be sure that you request the only thing you want, but when you have received, you will be sure you have the treasure you always sought. What would you then exchange for it? He's really asking us to receive this in this now moment. Yes?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Really receive it.
And in anchoring that this world has nothing that I want, and when we stop defending ourselves against the thought of God, he's telling us what we're going to experience.
Mm.
It's already the truth. We are a thought in the mind of God, one with all of creation, because God's creation is one. I just think that's so beautiful. When we're threatened by something, can we turn around and realize I'm either feeding this lie, or I'm refusing to deny the thought of God, which is in my mind, which brings me the safety and peace, joy, healing, peace of mind, quiet rest, and calm awakening.
Mm.
I don't think we can be reminded of that too often. That's what's available to us. That's the truth right now. Right now, we have the opportunity to accept and receive, experience that now. But no, I'd rather have this problem. I'd rather have my mind in turmoil over some illusion, whether it be sickness or conflict, lack. And I love this idea on the back side of this lesson. He's talking about when we accept this thought of God, that's the removal of all doubt in our mind, because that thought of God, what we are, has God's certainty. God alone knows what God created. You want to know what you are, ask God. God is certain about his son, and that certainty is available to us in our mind. The doubts are the way that we defend against accepting his certainty. But I can feel the peace that comes in a mind that just rests in knowledge. I am as God created me. Doubts are not from my mind, because there's no doubt in God.
And I think that the greatest seeming ego doubt that we entertain and we're terrified to really look at and therefore heal is self-doubt.
That's it. Yes.
I mean, yeah, we're plagued by it at a whole lot of different levels.
And go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you go, sis.
I think the biggest way that ego injects self-doubt with those of us who are like, we've done the trigger work, all the lower, lesser forms have been wiped away, and you're still standing there waiting. It seems like, okay, now what? I'm listening for Holy Spirit. When God's going to take this last step? The truth is true. And the body will seem to come up with some argument, right? And physical manifestation or physical pain is the way that the ego tries to hold us into doubt. Well, yes, God is true, and I've learned I've learned the metaphysics, and I'm accepting the atonement. And then there's a jab from the body, something that seems so real and so physical that draws in. Well, this is true too. I mean, this is so bad. How can this not be true? And that's the way that ego works to keep us waffling, between the two camps. But the way to overcome that is it's vigilance only for God. Even though the body's barking and whining and crying, you know what it's doing. The body can't bark, whine, or cry. It's the ego that's using the body for its purposes of self-doubt. You can turn from that. I'm back to God's certainty. If God says that I am as he created me, I am but love, how can there be fear and its sickness if I am love? You hold there, and it takes vigilance and practice. But, take the certainty of God, which is in your mind and available to you. I am nothing but love. I am what God says I am.
And I'm also the incorruptible innocence of that love. You can't have that love and not know that incorruptible and changeless innocence. It's impossible. They go hand in hand. Where one is, the other is. Yeah.
Thank you.
And with the self-doubt, there's no innocence there.
Oh, no. That's
if we're in self-doubt, we're out of love.
Yeah. Saying no, God, no to your creation. My creation also is true. What I've made independently and apart from your will and your laws, this is also true. And it's just ego's arrogance. And the ego is pure fear. So it has nothing to do with love. Thank you.
Thank you, sis. Now the second part of this lesson. There is a second part.
Yes.
I think it is, I am entrusted with the gifts of God.
Yes.
God is but love, and therefore so am I. I am entrusted with the gifts of God. Okay. So, maybe I might just start with this paragraph
Sure.
which is the review of lesson 166. I am entrusted with the gifts of God. All things are given you. God's trust in you is limitless. He knows his son. He gives without exception, holding nothing back that can contribute to your happiness. And yet, unless your will is one with his gifts are not received. But what would make you think there is another will than his? Okay. So I've just made a note here. We have all the gifts of God along with our brothers. It's not like we need to wait for the gifts of God. They were given to us for eternity in our creation, along with all our brothers, right?
Right.
But while I deny them, the gifts of God in my brothers or sisters, I myself cannot know them, and therefore I cannot extend them. I must choose to overlook my brother's errors, because only the error is my own mind, right? Is in my own mind. Sorry, only the error in my own mind believes and is triggered by them. I think that's a big point. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
So it's like, again, it goes to perception's fundamental law again, which is that if I'm triggered by somebody else or something, a situation, a circumstance, or whatever, it's only the error in my mind that is projecting the particular adversity that I seem to see, because deep in my unconscious,
Mm-hmm.
I have wanted it to prove that I am separate from God.
Right.
Yeah.
That you can see and know something apart from what God is knowing.
Mhm.
You know, it goes right, what you're saying goes right in line with this other one. God is but love, and therefore so am I. God is but love, and therefore so is my brother. Right? You can't have it like, oh, I'm happy to accept that I am love, but my brother, he can be a real SOB sometimes, right? Bit irritating, obnoxious.
Yeah, irritating.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Yep. So just following the line of thinking here. When I choose to overlook my brother's errors, which really are my own errors,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Then what happens then is that I align as the will of God. And as I align as the will of God, and in that felt state,
Mm-hmm.
the gifts of God are revealed to me. I mean, you can feel them. You may not be able to identify them intellectually at the time, but who gives a damn,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? It's a felt state. And in that felt state is that incorruptible innocence. And what comes along with that, of course, is a state of fearlessness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Because when we accept the gifts of God, when we really accept them in that felt state, fear must disappear. And there's really a sense of, one of the gifts of God that's been revealed to me is the knowing of our invulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from claiming our innocence as the will of God. And you can breathe into it and feel it. Yeah. It's that invulnerability.
So when the ego tempts you to see a brother or sister as they are not, you know that is not ever about them. It's something being projected from your mind. So we forgive that, because we know that there is a real view, and that real view, the one view, is God's will. Mm-hmm. There's one creation, God's will. Well, wonderful news. That's our holy self's will. So when we come into an alignment with God's will, stop trying to practice another will apart from God, to see something that isn't there, to make something be real that can never be real. It's an act of surrender and love.
Mhm.
God's will be done, not mine, God's will. Then Sis is describing how beautiful that when you behold the face of Christ in your brother, the return in your awareness, it arises in your awareness, the gifts of God that are always available because they're within you. God placed them there when he created you. They return to your awareness. And that's that felt state that Sis is pointing to, about oneness,
Yeah.
joy, peace, innocence.
Mhm.
And with that, innocence is your incorruptibility, meaning you can't be attacked. You can't be threatened. There's nothing to defend. There's no fear in the mind, God's mind, right? God is but love, and therefore so am I. It's the felt state and acceptance of that.
Mm. And in there too, there's a quality of known abundance that the ego's never known, right?
Yeah.
And I really felt that this morning before we began the lesson. And I identified that as a gift of God or from God. That is a gift. We have that. We actually have that in us, that
Right.
limitless abundance. We are that. It's not something we go and get outside of us. It's like the love we are, you know, and that incorruptibility or that invulnerability and the abundance, they're all one.
Right.
And I feel that they're not really recognized and therefore activated until such time as we give gratitude for them, right? The gratitude for them. And the other thing is that we won't really have the gratitude for them, which returns the memory of the gifts of God to our mind until we extend them.
Right. Yeah, that's key. I love the word that you just used to back up a second, to activate it. So if we feel like we're in lack in some way,
Mhm.
and we're looking to a world of imagery that shows there's just, Sis and I talked about the number 3, you know, if we take it out of the realm of ideas and make it physical objects, now it's, well, they have, and there's the have nots, and there's limitations and so-called ego laws. But when we recognize, bring it back to all thought in the mind, the kingdom of heaven, abundance, that there's no need in love, there's no lack in love, right? First here, recognizing it, and then the activation of that truth ends up in ways in the dream, very practical answers to our very practical needs. So we never go out there to solve the lie of lack. It's the recognition of abundance as the truth. You know, I am one with God. What can I possibly lack? The kingdom, I have all the gifts of God. They reside within me. In gratitude, I acknowledge that. And then sit back and rest in God and watch in amazement about how wisdom works in such awesome and fun and delightful, creative ways that humanly we would have never come up with, right? So yeah, thanks, Sis. And then now that to really know that you do have the kingdom of heaven within, it's not enough to theorize about it, but as you extend those gifts to your brothers, that's the aha. I do have it to give. It is within me. It is mine. I can't lose it.
Yeah. And on top of that, it's in the giving that we have the miraculous experience or memory of it actually increasing in the giving,
Yes.
which is the opposite law to the egos, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That you would lose by giving.
Yeah.
And I remember in this lesson that there was a moment of just deep emotion about being entrusted with the gifts of God, so that when you do receive them, there comes a time where you are entrusted then to share the gifts that you have received with your brothers. And he talks about, you know, are you happy? Are you joyful? Are you in peace? Because your fears, your tears, your sighs, People are looking to you who have been entrusted with the gifts of God. Do you protect them by standing in your certainty, even when the story looks bleak? Because people are watching you. Are you living what you're teaching, or are you all over the place and you get swept up by the ego's lies? I went through a big wave of that this morning, where it just seemed like the floor was pulled out from under me, literally. And I started to go down, and it was like, you can't go down, because it's such dishonor, and it's an arrogant move by the ego. It's colluding with the lie. Choice point. Who are you? What are you? Whose are you? Under whose laws? And if you're going to be and the camera talking about A Course in Miracles, you're entrusted with these gifts of God, and you really, it's unloving, and it's unkind, and it's not respectful to God, who has given us the kingdom of heaven, to stand there and discuss and lament something that isn't true. So, become the living proof of what Christ's touch can offer everyone. God has entrusted all his gifts to you. Be witness in your happiness to how transformed the mind becomes, which chooses to accept his gifts and feel the touch of Christ. Such is your mission now, for God entrusts the giving of his gifts to all who have received them. He has shared his joy with you, and now you go to share it with the world.
So we become the witness, or
that's it,
the demonstration that his laws are true and nothing else is true.
That's right. Hold fast to that which is true. Do not bear witness to what has never been, because then we're just that pendulum that you talk about, swinging between the truth and illusions. And who's going to rise up and plant themselves unreservedly and demonstrate that this is true?
Right. And yet there's the temptation by the spiritualized ego to jump ahead and to basically do a spiritual bypass and to be where we're not, right? Which causes further divide, or a larger split within our mind. We have to meet ourselves where we're at.
That's so
right.
True.
But the thing is, and I'm speaking from my own experience here, is for me, the vigilance that Jesus speaks about in the third step of the lessons from the Holy Spirit, the lessons of the Holy Spirit, chapter 6 of the text. He says there that third step that we take, or the last step we take before God takes his, is to learn to be vigilant only for God and his kingdom. Translated, that means to apply the positive separation in every instant, especially when there seems to be ego temptation to perceive another will apart from God.
That's it.
Right? Yeah. And so that's where I'm at, and I think you're there too. We're exercising that that vigilance, regardless of anything else. We're not jumping ahead. I mean, we both jumped ahead in different stages of our learning, but now we're right center.
It's not kind to say, well, you shouldn't be feeling that, or you should be doing things differently. I'm clearly not in joy. He talks about the joy that comes with God's gifts. And, I dove with the storyline. I dove down, but, joining with my sister this morning, reading the workbook lesson, reading some text, pulled myself up, because I know it's not real, right? It's not that I'm above the reaction. I saw myself go there, but how quickly, you can latch on. There's another way here. You're at decision. This is happening, because you've asked for it. You can choose again, and to pull yourself up. So, I'm in the practice of this too, just not to respond and go down that rabbit hole when you find yourself pulled, to quick make the turnabout. Use what you know to pull yourself out.
And it might be good for those who are watching this and who are really desiring some tools to do this, it might be good to point you in to the show more or the description box.
Resource
And
list.
there is a blog, there should be a blog called Making the Positive Separation.
It's there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's also another one. I can't remember the name of it. Sorry. Illusions and Truth, or do you remember that one?
Making the Positive Separation Between Truth and Illusions.
No.
No,
You're confusing two different blogs, and that's fine, since I did the same
Positive
thing.
Separation and Pillars of Truth, the Pillars, Truth, and oh geez.
No, I think there's too many now, but we need them. They're for us.
Yes.
As you can see, right?
Yes.
But take a look in the resources down below, because there's lots and lots of resources that are helpful, that really offer the tools, the practical tools that we need in order to stay vertical and vigilant against the ego thought system.
That's it.
Yeah.
God for the blog. Yes, thanks, sis. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay. So I think we're done with this lesson.
I do too. I thought that felt complete. Oh, and to remember, I have a note here that God's not in the gap. There's that paragraph 10. He talks about God's will does not oppose. It merely is. It is not God you have imprisoned in your plan to lose your holy self. He does not know about a plan so alien to his will. There was a need he did not understand. That was the question about separation, to which he gave an answer. That is all. And you who have this answer given you have need no more of anything but this. And just reminded me of the gap. He's saying God's will, it's not in it. He's not in the insanity. The idea of separation was answered immediately by him, and the answer is our inner teacher or Holy Spirit.
Are you saying that God's not in the gap?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Never was. Doesn't know
Never
about
could be, but by God, sorry. The ego wants so much to reconcile the two.
That's right.
The ego's laws and God's laws.
That's right.
It's like the truth is true.
Nothing else is true.
And everything else is true as well.
Yeah. The gap is true, and outside the gap is true. God is love, and I like my special love in the gap. I'm going to have both. There's the split mind right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
all right. Thanks
everyone for joining us, and thank you, sis.
Yeah. We'll see
Very
you guys.
powerful lesson. Thank you.
Thank you.